Alright guys, welcome back to the bottom of the well. So we're on to our third ending. So yeah, let's go ahead and start. It says to choose a custom one. You can customize your Alice down to individual stat points if you wish, although it is not recommended for your first playthrough. It is, however, advised for subsequent playthroughs. You have to invest all 9 points before you can continue. Start customizing. 2 in survival, 2 in fitness, social life is 2, supplies 1, career is 1, and dating is 1. Alright. Morning, eh? Morning. Did you catch the anniversary reading last night? No, well, I tried, but I fell asleep. Listen, about that. You fell asleep? Oh, come on. Alice in Wonderland is like our favorite. Let me finish. Something happened. I was tuning in on my radio. You're such a... yeah. Amazing, I can't even catch you online. Shut up. I just like analog things. Anyway, I was tuning to... yeah, we kinda saw this already. I'm gonna go ahead and skip. So, yeah. Yeah, I apologize for my loud computer. What's taking so long? I hope I didn't break the game. There we go. So like I said, it was the end of the world. Everything I did that day felt like the real thing. Every smell, every sound, every color, every touch. It's important, you know, that I wasn't acting like I would in a dream. I didn't know it was a dream. Heavy. There was no warning. No build-up, nothing. Just between one moment and the next, the TV had turned to the emergency alert system, and this voice that sounded like it had been recorded in the 60s told us we were under attack. Were you alone? No, I was with some friends. We were having a movie night at my place, watching, holy shit, I think it was actually the new Star Wars movie. There was a scene where old Han Solo was just about to get knocked over when the TV just switched. Wait, the new Star Wars? As in Episode 7? On DVD? You know that dates your dream, right? I hadn't even thought about that. Sorry, go on. What happened next? Like I said, the TV suddenly turned to the emergency alert system. Jacked the volume all the way up too. I didn't even know they could do that. The broadcast told us we were under attack right now and that we needed to get to shelter, that we had less than 30 minutes before the bombs hit. Yeah, sounds scary. At first I didn't want to believe it. I switched the channel, but they were all the same. And then the sirens started. Tornado sirens? Flood sirens? I don't know. And I knew things were serious. So what did you do? Alright, I need to look at this. Went online to find out what was going on. Didn't you try calling someone, like your parents? Of course I tried, but it was futile. The phone network was completely overworked. But the net still worked fine. What did everyone else do? Everyone was pretty terrified. Some tried to make a joke out of it, but there was something about the voice on the TV that belied that. Once we figured out the net still worked, everyone was on it. So what did you find? The net was still working, but the bandwidth was severely lacking. The major news networks were either down or overloaded. But all the big search engines defaulted to some kind of government site in super simple HTML. That kind of confirmed it really was the real deal. Isn't the net supposed to be some kind of, invention anyway? Wouldn't be surprised if they had some kind of system in place to take it over if need be. Well, they hadn't taken it over. You could still go wherever you wanted. Facebook still worked. Apocalypse-proof servers? Nice. It was insane. I tried to get in touch with my brother. He's the only one who's even got an account. There was no reply. I spammed my aunts and sent an email to my mother, but I don't know. It felt like I needed to find someone right there and then. And the group chat. It was spreading through our social network like wildfire. Someone had found the closest old fallout shelter that was actually still operable, down on 3rd. People were going there just grabbing all they could and running before the bombs fall. So what happened next? You know, I did find you online. That must have been useless, and I'm all the way over in Old Blighty unless things were different in your dream. No, you were still in the UK. The bombs had already started falling there. You disappeared. There was nothing more to do. It was only a dream, Al. Sure. So then what? Fallout shelter seemed like the best option. The old fallout shelter was down on 3rd. It wasn't far. Close enough to walk anyway. Did you think to bring anything? Alright, yes, I grabbed the biggest bag I had. An old backpack I'd never bothered to throw out. Woo for hoarding, I guess. Alright, so take food, and that's it. Well, go on. What was it like? Did you run into trouble? You could say that shelter. So, we headed towards the shelter. I think we were all hoping it was all just a false alarm, and tomorrow everything would be back to normal. like an extreme version of Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast. Actually, the panic that radio show caused was greatly exaggerated, probably by Welles himself, and it worked. We still remember it today. Great ad campaign. Guess that English Lit degree is coming to some use at least. Yeah, well, it didn't really feel like it. I remember trying to think of words to describe the way the streets felt, the way the city sounded. Turmoil, chaos, anarchy, tumult, pandemonium. The capital of hell. Now he's got a degree in Lit. Stop stalling. Yeah, it's just... like I said, everything felt so real. The panic in the streets, the accidents everywhere, with no emergency responders showing up, and the ever-present siren. It was like everyone walked with their eyes to the sky, just expecting to see a flash. Did you make it to the shelter okay? The shelter was actually in the basement of a bar. They used it as a storage, which was handy since there was a door towards the street. But there were no signs or anything like that anymore. I just knew about it from the Facebook conversation. Okay, wait, isn't that the bar you always go to? The Rad Bar? Yeah. Go on, Alice. Did you get in? We went to the old entrance, which was down a narrow side alley. Some of the others were waiting for us there, and a few more came while we said our hellos. I actually felt pretty safe in that big group. The suspense is killing me. So I knocked on the door and then immediately tried to handle. It was locked. Nothing happened for a while, and then the door opened just a bit, and she stuck her head out. She? The bitch queen. She was this redhead chick who had taken charge of everything in there. She was the one who originally posted about the place, so I guess she felt she owned it somehow. She stood there in the doorway, looking me over, and then basically said, "We're full," like it was an exclusive club. I can't believe they just keep you out for no good reason. Was it actually full? Ha, not a chance. There was a sign on the door that said capacity 100. There was just no way there was 100 people in there already. I said as much. She didn't reply. I guess she didn't just let it be at that. I tried to push the door open. I wasn't having any of this shit. The door clearly said capacity 100 people. There was no way there were 100 people in there. So what did you do? I pushed with all my might, but she wouldn't budge. She was stronger than she looked. We were at an impasse, but at least she hadn't just closed the door. What did you do? I said I wasn't the only one wanting to get in. I told her there were others out here, and that we wanted in. That's not a very good argument if the premise is that the place is full. Yes, except that I used it as leverage. I told her we were coming in, one way or another. I guess there was something about the way I said it that made the others realize it was time to loom closer. You're a right thug, so she let you in? Reluctantly. But you did try to get the rest in with you, right? I tried to get as many in as I could. Well, good. So how did that math work out? It wasn't math, it was narrative. Her narrative was the shelter is full, but we can take people who have their own supplies because we have none to spare. I knew then already it was bullshit, but I had to humor her. Anyway, the narrative math was very simple. 1 day of food for every person she was letting in. So we talked about it. But of course I only had enough for myself. Or for one other. I gave up both my food and my spot. Wow. Achievement unlocked, Angel. Awesome. What else was I supposed to do? Well, I mean, go in? It didn't feel right. I gave up my food and turned around and left. I stepped back from the door, the sound of it slamming shut still echoing in my ears. It was the sound of desperation. I knew there would be no more opening it. I had to think of something else. What did the others think? They all looked at me for some reason. It was pretty weird. I didn't really think of myself as the leader type. So did you go with them together somewhere else? I was pretty sure they'd follow me, but the thought of me as a leader, I don't know, it scared me. I thought about maybe heading off by myself instead. So realistically, what were your options? Yeah, so I guess this one doesn't really matter. Actually, I could try to get a third achievement if I wanted to. Yeah, let's do that. I could try to leave town leaving the group, or leading the group. A little post-apocalyptic group of survivors. Did you have any idea what to do? Well, we needed to get out of the downtown area fast, which left us with a few options. The streets. I can imagine they must have been pretty bad. You live centrally, don't you? Yep, and yep, the streets were bad, really bad. Accidents everywhere. Gridlocked as far as the eye could see. Panic, bedlam, awful. So no buses, no metro, and you don't own a car, correct? That's right, and neither did any of the others. But we had a few options. One was to start walking until we got out of the gridlock zone, and then steal a car. Whoa. Yeah, so it's like raining out, and lightning just struck. Wow, that was close. People were leaving them with the keys and the ignition, just running away. Okay, sounds awful and reasonable. Another would be to try to find a car as soon as possible and then use it to make a way out of the gridlock. What, like in the action movies? A truck or a bus or something smashing through? Something like that. Alright then, so what did you decide to do? To walk past the worst. I decided walking was the best option. The whole downtown area was gridlocked. Cars everywhere, people running down the sidewalks, and the sirens blaring. It was like one of those disaster movies. No hope of driving anywhere, at any rate. But where was everyone going? Most of them were going home, I think. People were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. There you were, running away from home. Once I made my decision, I stuck to it, no matter how much I was filled with doubt. Half an hour was nothing at all, but luckily that estimate was completely wrong. Sometimes I'll walk half an hour in the wrong direction just because I stubbornly refuse to believe I'm lost. I didn't know what was the right direction, but I did try to get wherever I was going as fast as possible. I stayed off the major roads, and especially roads that I knew led towards metro stations. Not that I was the only one who'd gotten that grand idea. Was there any danger? Like people attacking each other or something? No, I thought we were all going in the same direction, but then I realized that the crowd was heading somewhere I hadn't planned to go. A subway station. What did you do? I elbowed a few people and ducked and weaved my way out of there before I was swept too far along, but I did lose precious time. Time, yes, isn't that the thing you're fighting here? How far away were you planning on getting? Well, a lot further than I had gotten at that point. I could practically still see my apartment building, but the crowd was slowly thinning at least. And I actually saw a vehicle in motion, an ambulance, weaving between stalled cars with the sirens blaring. What did you do? Kept walking, although I started looking for shelter. I found myself looking over my shoulder all the time, as if the flash could come at any time. Aren't you supposed to look away from the flash? Well, yeah, but How could I not? Some warning, something. The sirens were pointless. Weren't they supposed to warn when the event is imminent? Now we've been out for at least an hour and no bombs yet. I think I would have just stayed at home, or done just about anything but head out into the open. What the heck was that? That was weird. You do that when you have the stream. I did what I did. So how long did you risk staying out? We knew we didn't have much time, so we ducked into the closest shelter we can find. So what did you find? I was really starting to feel like getting caught outside close to all of these buildings would be a very bad idea. When I saw a subway sign, I immediately headed that way. That was probably not very safe though. I mean, it must have been packed. Oh yes. As I got closer, I did see something that made my heart surge. Policemen. Actual government workers. They were ushering everyone down below, and people were actually moving in a somewhat orderly fashion. Is your subway system bomb-proof? I have no idea. I was caught in the stream of people either way, and found myself shepherded below ground. It smelled of pee and vomit and body odor, and the crying and shouting made talking impossible. So regular Friday night at the underground. Funny. Anyway, there was actually a semblance of order down there. Policemen were giving people places to sleep, also down on the tracks. And you ended up on the tracks with nothing but the clothes on my back, pretty much. I just pulled my knees up to my chest and held my head down and waited for the end. At least you weren't alone, and it had to be safer underground, right? I didn't feel safe, not at all. Someone could have knocked me out. Hell, someone could probably have shanked me down there and no one would have noticed. I was almost more frightened of the other people there than I was of the bombs. The bombs were just abstract threats, while all these panicking people were right there. Wait, no coming together of people? No great communion in the face of danger? Every man for himself. Anyway, apocalypse. So it was real, I mean, and a dream. Yes, the first one was the worst, because the light went out with it. I tried to make myself as small as I could, but I still got kicked once or twice by people running by in a panic. A few moments later, there were flashlights out, police shouting, telling everyone to be calm. Be calm? Bullshit. The lights were out and it was completely, utterly pitch dark. The first one. There were more. I lost count. With every blast there was this terrible sound from the roof, like it was crying out. Small pieces of it rained down with every rumble, and we all responded to its cry. Did the roof hold? It groaned. Rocks tumbled down. Someone got hit by one big enough to hurt, and they cried out. I don't think the station was very far underground at all, and it hadn't been designed with bombings in mind. That must have been pretty harrowing, not just for me. A lot of people got up and said they weren't going to stay. There was a surge of people. Panic was mounting again. It was quiet outside, but the policemen didn't want anyone leaving yet. There was a lot of screaming, some demanding to be let out. I had to stand up to avoid getting jostled or trampled again. What did you do? That's when the final bomb hit. Close. Maybe it had been shot out. Of course, maybe. Who knows? I was looking towards the exit when it hit, and I could see the firestorm sweep down into it, engulfing the hapless policemen and anyone who had been pushing against them to come out. Everyone screamed, but it was drowned out by the sound of the roof beginning to fall. Dust covered everything. Holy shit, what did you do? After I finished coughing, something was burning, so I could actually see. although I didn't particularly want to. What I saw was that most were either huddling down, praying to whatever god they had that they wouldn't be buried alive, or then trying to escape. No one could get past the burning wreckage at the entrance, but the subway tunnels were wide open. Most were crowding into the tunnels leading westwards, away from the downtown area, but it was a stampede. The tunnels leading east, back from where I came, were practically empty by comparison. I would get out of there if I were you, regardless of direction. Where'd you go? I just huddled down and joined in praying. Christ, do you have no self-preservation instincts? But if you get buried alive, isn't that like pretty much the worst thing ever that could ever happen, ever? I do. I just didn't think it would be a good idea to either get crushed by a mass of people running into a tunnel with roughly as high a chance of collapsing as the station, or to run back towards the center of destruction. Alright, so what happened? Did you get crushed? The roof fell, but it fell slowly, buckling under the weight of the buildings above, but still anchored by God knows how many steel supports that slowly bent out of shape, showering the station with concrete and brick and everything else. At some point the roof smothered a fire burning at the entrance, and everything became pitch black again, at least at first. Holy crap, and you just huddled? No, I ran and crawled and got pelted by rocks and screamed and tried to climb out of the train track but failed. There were bodies, people crossed, but I only saw those once the roof opened up and let in the light from the burning city. What about the others? I have no idea. They just disappeared somewhere in the screaming masses. I hope they got out. The apocalypse. Yes, there was just so much stuff coming down from up above. Slowly but surely the whole construction was collapsing. I tried crawling up, but God, suddenly I was pinned. Told you, buried alive. Not buried, pinned against something. I couldn't even see what. I cried out for help, but no one had time for me. I tried moving the thing, but I think at some point I lost consciousness. That sounds like a pretty shitty situation, to be honest. Did you ever wake up? I did. I think it must have been daytime. The sky was dark with clouds. Ash rained freely through the now non-existent roof. My leg was pinned underneath a pile of rubble. Everything hurt, and breathing was like inhaling sandpaper. I tried calling for help, but all I could manage was a croak. Wasn't there anyone else? Rescue workers? I heard voices in the distance somewhere, maybe on the surface. I tried calling out, but my mouth was basically a salt lake, so I started struggling. I pushed and heaved, but it was proving surprisingly difficult to get any leverage in on the thing that is literally pinning you down. But I managed to move it enough to cause a small avalanche of rocks to fall. The people must have heard it and came to investigate. 3 raggedy-looking survivors. That's lucky. Did they get you out? Yes, after some work and a lot of dust breathing on all parts. Afterwards, one of them gave me some water, and I could have happily married her right there and then. Wasn't there anyone else? I mean, there must have been hundreds down there. We heard others, lots of others, moaning, crying, but we couldn't see them. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, after getting me up on my feet and away from all the rubble, we had to decide what to do. Wait, what did it look like? I mean, the city. I don't know how to answer that. Achievement unlocked, Metro 2016. I don't know how to answer that. The skyscrapers were all gone. The skyline was different, to say the least. Everything was burning still. Ash rained from the sky, and the clouds were a dull burning red. It was, yeah, pretty apocalyptic. There really wasn't anyone else? No, the 4 of us were the only survivors. Above ground, that is. Fuck. Wasn't there anything you could do? I don't know. I mean, we need excavators or more people or something. What if by trying it'd just end up crushing them even more? Still. We left, promising ourselves we'd try to find help. So the post-apocalypse, what did it look like? Indescribable chaos. I mean, literal chaos. A city is always kind of chaotic, but all the parts stick together. Windows have window panes. Doors are attached to doorways. Walls make the difference between inside and outside. Now it was hard to tell where the streets ended and the ruins began, so to speak. I don't know what else to say. Did you companions have a plan? No, they were as dazed and confused as I was, but we all felt we had to move away from the center at least. That's where the danger was. Were there other survivors? Yes, just like us, they were just walking down the street, completely dazed. Someone had written on the wall of the subway station, Matthew 4:1. A quick Google gives me, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Weird. Not so weird. Wilderness, apocalypse, frontier, they're all connected. What about radiation? I mean, wasn't that the big danger? Fallout? Yeah, there was this rain of ash coming down. It probably wasn't very good. I wrapped a shirt around my face and tried not to breathe in too much of it. I don't know how useful it was. So what do? I of course started wondering about my friends and family, but it felt like they were so far away that there was nothing I could do about it. Chess, though, I think he had left town just like me. Chess? My boyfriend. In the dream, I mean. It was weird. Were you close? I don't know how to answer that, but I guess we were pretty steady. How steady? Well, you know, I felt there was potential. Encouraging. Sounds like you had to make a decision. I wanted to keep going. There were a lot of other survivors on the road as well, and soon enough the rumors started circulating. There was a government evacuation center set up in the old college. Everyone was going there. The college? As in your college? Yep, talk about coming back to the beginning. Anyway, that's where everyone was headed. There was just one minor problem. Oh, the river. There's a river? Not something I had thought about either. I didn't live anywhere near it, so whenever I crossed it, I just drove over it. But there it was, a geographical reality. So, I mean, the bridges were surely still there. True, but when we approached them, we realized they were occupied. Uh-oh, by whom? I'm not sure. I saw them from afar and kind of ducked into cover. I saw immediately they weren't good news. They had guns and were harassing the other people who had come to the bridge. I think they were mugging them. Did they let anyone pass? Yes, some, but I didn't know what the price was, or if they had some other criteria for letting people through. So what did you do? I went up to them and confronted them. Brave. Well, I wasn't alone. We might have been largely unarmed, but we were a team. So what were they? Just thugs? Part opportunists, part worried townsfolk. They claimed that they were protecting their part of the town from riffraff who were coming down from the city trying to steal all of their uncontaminated food. That this was just a kind of concerned citizens roadblock. Conveniently in the way towards the main evacuation center. Yeah, but, well, I mean, they had a lot of guns, but I didn't really detect a lot of malice in them. It didn't seem like they were particularly wanted to use them. So what did you do? I explained me and mine were going through, and there was nothing they could do about it. Well there, what about all the guns? I charged, assuming overwhelming numbers would be enough. It was, but, oh shit, did you get shot? No, I went for the boss, since he was closest. He turned his gun towards me, but I grabbed it and yanked it from his arms before he had time to even utter a threat. I smacked the butt of it into his head, and he went down, but a lot of other people got hurt. But the bridge was ours. Well, I can't say I condone it, but you did get through. Yeah, and ahead, the evacuation center. So, the evacuation center, my college. I'm not surprised I dreamed about it. It's like at the center of my life right now. It was still, in the dream, a big part of my life. That's where I worked after all. Is this the part where the dream turns weird and the college starts frowning legs and begins smoking a hookah or something? Unfortunately, no. That would have been a pretty welcome respite. Even so, it must have been a respite, proof that society survived. The United States weren't completely obliterated, etc., etc. Speaking of, what did happen to everyone? I don't know. Everything was still rather hazy. News was sporadic and often hearsay. There was a lot of talk about a missile defense system that no one knew we even had, that had apparently managed to shoot down something akin to 90% of all the enemy warheads. Wishful thinking. Based on what I was seeing, I don't really see the difference. 10% was clearly more than enough to wreak unimaginable havoc. Hell, 1% would probably have been enough. Anyway, go on. I want to get to the end. What happened at the center? At the gates, there was a screening process going on. A big plastic corridor where we were all told to undress and go through the super cold shower, after which men in gas masks and plastic coverings ran a Geiger counter over us. Seriously? So, what happened? There were 2 doors at the end of the corridor, beyond the men in masks with guns. Whenever their Geiger counters frazzled and it complained, you went right. Whenever it was quiet, you went left. I went left. After the check, they gave us new threats. Honestly, they mostly looked like prison guards, but at least they were not radioactive. All of our old stuff would be disposed of. I think they just gave them to the poor people going right. I saw them through the fence, heading off to God knows where in their old clothes, many of them too tired, too sick to even walk upright. That's really sick. I can't even imagine how many millions of casualties they had to deal with. I suppose this was just them being pragmatic. Anyway, what earthly paradise were you led to then? They had set up shelters for us in the dorms and in some of the lecture halls, indoors with proper protection and daily washing and clean food. We were scheduled to stay there for just a little while, until they could relocate us somewhere safer. It all seemed very organized and controlled. So, was Chess and his sister there? No. I searched, harboring some vague hope that maybe they made it, but no. I suppose it was a long shot anyway. Still not an unhappy ending, I suppose. Was it then? No, it wasn't. Do go on. Did you rebuild society or something? How much longer is this dream? Should we maybe continue tomorrow, like a part 2 or something? No, it's almost over, but this is when it gets weird. Remember that music I heard on the radio before falling asleep? Yep. So I was taking a walk between buildings and enjoying the fine weather, since they had given a fallout all clear. They sprayed the lawns daily and checked them for rats. When I heard it again, kind of like you'll turn the sound of thunder into explosions in a dream. No, or maybe, actually yes. That's not a bad analog. Music was a connection between the dream and the real world. When I heard it, it was like I suddenly remembered that I once had the dream I was currently having. I remember in the dream thinking of how incredibly unlikely that was. It was weird, okay? Dreams are weird, so the music, where did it come from? It came from the admin building. It's this big place with the rector's office and a bunch of other offices. No teaching spaces, off to the side, a bit close to the stadium. I shouldn't have heard it by any means, yet somehow I did. I walked closer, but that building wasn't a part of our turf. The doors were all under lock and key, and there was a fence cutting off the main entrance, but I knew it came from there. Okay, so what did you do? I just knew there was some connection there, some truth hidden in those tunes, something that would allow me to wake up from this nightmare, because that's what it was. Every single aching, painful, awful moment of it, but it was beyond locked doors, inside a building presumably filled with men with guns. You got this far. Was there really nothing you could do? Not unless I came up with some way of breaking through solid metal doors with nothing but my bare hands. But I stood there and listened to the music. That's when I felt I knew I was in a dream. This wasn't real, or it was, but it wasn't all that was real. That there was an alternative version of this dream, where I'd done things differently, where my life had been different up until this moment. And as a result, I had ended up somewhere else, in the stadium, with the sick, or somehow inside that building. Some kind of multiverse theory applied to strange realistic dreams. If there is an endless number of dimensions, who's to say there's not one where dreams are more real than reality? Anyway, no. More like, I remembered having made certain choices about what I wanted to do with my life, how I was going to spend my time, and all those choices, and a million others, had led up to this moment of helpless separation, was that if I had done differently, things would be different. Bravo, that's kind of how the arrow of time works. You do X today and maybe Y happens tomorrow. Do Y today and maybe Z happens. Yeah, except, what if you can foresee where the arrow of time is going to hit? What then? You're saying you had a prophetic dream? That's what I'm saying. The dream ended shortly after that because I knew I was in a dream, and I knew I had somehow ended up wrong. I don't want to talk about how I ended things, but it wasn't difficult. Then I woke up. Achievement unlocked, so close. And thus concluded my dream. Well, that was interesting. What do you think? I think it felt incomplete. Like there was something missing. That wasn't the way it was supposed to end, you know. Dreams are supposed to end in certain ways. This one was, I think, it felt like it was trying to tell me something, but I wasn't listening closely enough. Maybe you can try again next night, see if you hear the same recording. Speaking of, what frequency was this on? That's some of the weird part. When I tried to see, I realized I had hit the right channel, and that it was in fact reading Alice in Wonderland. This isn't exactly some obscure number station frequency on an AM bands. Well, maybe you'll dream it next night again anyway. That's the good thing with dreams. You can always dream them again. And maybe do something different the second time around. Alright, so that was a lot of talking. But yeah, we're getting closer to the end of the series. I'm thinking there's only, Better Prepared, 3 out of 5, so there's only 2 more endings. Yeah, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was kind of a bit longer, but yeah, hopefully next time I will actually finish this. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next one.